Let's begin by exploring the parliamentary system, exemplified by the United Kingdom. The United Kingdom operates under a parliamentary system, a complex dance between the executive, legislative, and, to a lesser extent, judicial branches. Now we will look at each branch while exploring how checks and balances are achieved. The UK's executive branch presents a unique structure. It features a hereditary monarch as head of state and a prime minister as head of government. The monarch, currently King Charles III, acts as a symbolic figurehead, representing the nation's unity and continuity. They hold limited formal power, primarily assenting to bills passed by Parliament and dissolving Parliament before elections. The true power within the executive branch lies with the Prime Minister. Chosen from the leader of the party holding a majority of seats in the House of Commons, the Prime Minister wields significant authority. They propose legislation, appoint government ministers, and set the overall direction of the government. However, this power is not absolute. The Prime Minister remains accountable to Parliament. They face the constant threat of a vote of no confidence, which, if lost, can trigger a new election. This vulnerability ensures the Prime Minister governs in accordance with the will of the elected representatives. After covering the executive, let's move to the legislative branch of the UK. The UK Parliament, the heart of British lawmaking, is a unique bicameral system. Let's take a closer look at its two houses. First, the elected House of Commons, which is the lower house, represents the people's voice. The House of Commons, directly elected by the people, holds the most significant power. 650 members are elected through a first-past-the-post system, where the candidate with the most votes in each constituency wins. The House of Commons debates and votes on proposed laws, bills, approves government budgets, and holds the executive branch accountable. Second, the appointed House of Lords, which is the upper house play as a chamber of experience. The House of Lords presents a more complex composition. It includes hereditary peers whose titles are passed down through generations, and life peers, appointed by the monarch on the advice of the Prime Minister. While the House of Lords can scrutinize and amend bills, its power is limited. It cannot block financial bills and has only delaying power on other legislation. This ensures the primacy of the elected House of Commons. This two-house system fosters a dynamic balance between the wisdom of experience and the will of the people. Now we discuss on the checks and balances in the UK parliamentary system. So how the UK achieves checks and balances. The UK's parliamentary system achieves checks and balances primarily through the relationship between the legislature and the executive. Let's closer look at three key mechanisms. First, vote of no confidence. Parliament can hold a vote of no confidence in the Prime Minister. If the vote passes, the Prime Minister must resign or call a new election. This threat keeps the Prime Minister accountable to Parliament and ensures their policies reflect the will of the elected representatives. Second, scrutiny through committees and debates. Parliamentary committees have the power to question and investigate government ministers. Parliament also holds regular debates where government policies are scrutinized. This constant oversight keeps the executive in check and prevents them from acting unilaterally. Third, no veto power for the Prime Minister. It's important to note that the UK system does not have a veto power. The Prime Minister cannot veto legislation passed by Parliament. This ensures that Parliament has the ultimate say in lawmaking. The UK's parliamentary system, while admired for its balance between leadership and accountability, faces challenges. One key hurdle arises when no party holds a clear majority in Parliament. This situation, known as a hung Parliament, can lead to gridlock. In a hung Parliament, passing legislation becomes a tightrope walk. If no party has a clear majority in Parliament, it can lead to gridlock. Passing legislation becomes difficult due to the need for compromise between different political factions. This can hinder the government's ability to function effectively. So it's all about the characteristics of the UK's parliamentary system. Next, we'll delve into the US presidential system and see how it compares. The United States functions under a presidential system, where the executive and legislative branches are separate and hold equal power. Firstly, let's delve into the executive branch, led by the President. The executive branch in the U.S. The U.S. President holds a unique position, serving as both head of state and head of government. This means they represent the nation abroad and oversee the day-to-day operations of the government domestically. This concentration of power allows for decisive action on national issues. The president sets the agenda for the executive branch, proposing laws, appointing key officials, and commanding the military. This broad range of authorities allows them to significantly shape national policy and the country's direction. However, the president's power isn't unlimited. The Constitution enforces a two-term limit, preventing them from serving indefinitely. This safeguard ensures a regular change of leadership and avoids concentrating power in one person for too long. Furthermore, the president is accountable to the legislative branch. The Constitution grants Congress the power of impeachment, which formally accuses a president of wrongdoing in office. The House of Representatives initiates this process by voting on articles of impeachment, similar to formal charges. If a majority vote approves, the Senate holds a trial overseen by the Chief Justice. A conviction and removal from office require a two-thirds majority vote in the Senate. Now let's describe the United States legislative branch. The U.S. legislative power lies with the bicameral Congress, the House and Senate. The House, directly elected by the people every 2 years, ensures representation proportional to population, 435 members. The Senate, designed for deliberation, has 2 members per state regardless of size, 100 members serving staggered 6-year terms. This staggered system ensures continuity within the legislative branch. Congress plays a crucial role in shaping the nation's laws and policies. It holds the power to initiate and pass legislation, including bills raising taxes, authorizing spending, and regulating commerce. Furthermore, Congress approves the federal budget, outlining how government funds will be allocated. This control over the purse strings grants Congress significant leverage over the executive branch, as the president relies on congressional appropriations to run the government. That is all from the U.S. legislative. After the discretion of the executive and legislative, let's see how the U.S. achieved check and balance. Checks and balances in the U.S. system uphold through 2 mechanisms. First, veto power. The president can veto legislation passed by Congress. However, Congress can override a veto with a 2/3 vote in both houses, forcing the president to accept the legislation. This creates a dynamic where both branches must negotiate and compromise to enact laws. Second, congressional oversight. Congress has various tools to oversee the executive branch. Committees hold hearings to scrutinize the actions of government agencies and officials. Congress can also issue subpoenas to compel testimony and access to documents, ensuring transparency and accountability within the executive branch. Gridlock. Despite the inherent checks and balances, the system can become susceptible to gridlock, a situation where partisan divides prevent legislative progress. If the president and Congress belong to different political parties, reaching compromises on key issues can be difficult. Additionally, the requirement of a 2/3 majority to override a veto can create a high bar for Congress to overcome a president's objections. So, the U.S. presidential system is a structure built upon the principle of divided power. While the president wields significant authority, they remain accountable to Congress. Checks and balances ensure no single branch dominates, fostering a dynamic interplay between the executive and legislative branches. Now that we've explored both systems, let's see how they stack up in terms of effective government, accountability, and stability in the next part of the video. So, in this section, we will provide the comparison and analysis of both systems, focusing on effective government, government accountability, separation of powers, and democratic stability. Let's start. So, in the context of effective government, which system is better suited to address both pressing issues swiftly and develop long-term strategic plans? The U.S. system with its separated powers, or the UK's parliamentary system with its unified leadership? So, the U.S. system shines in times of clear leadership. When the president and Congress share a party, they can act like a well-oiled machine, swiftly passing laws and tackling urgent issues. This unified government fosters a clear direction and allows for streamlined decision-making. However, this strength becomes a weakness when partisan divides deepen. Divided government with a president and Congress from opposing parties can lead to gridlock. Political gridlock, like a traffic jam, stalls progress and hinders the government's ability to function effectively. The UK parliamentary system offers a different approach. With a prime minister directly chosen from the majority party in parliament, they can be more responsive to immediate needs. When a party holds a strong majority, the Prime Minister can push through their agenda with relative ease, allowing for swift action on pressing matters. However, this focus on responsiveness can come at a cost. Knowing their term may be limited, Prime Ministers might prioritize short-term wins over long-term strategic planning. This can lead to a lack of vision and a focus on policies that appeal to voters in the immediate future, potentially neglecting long-term national interests. Now move to government accountability. When it comes to holding government officials accountable, which system offers a more effective mechanism? The US system's impeachment process with its high bar for conviction, or the UK system's vote of no confidence that can trigger immediate removal? So, both systems incorporate mechanisms to ensure government accountability. The US system relies on the complex process of impeachment. While this serves as a powerful check on presidential power, the high bar for conviction, 2/3 majority in the Senate, can render it a cumbersome and rarely used tool. This can leave a president who has potentially abused their power relatively unscathed. The UK system offers a more direct approach through votes of no confidence. If the Prime Minister loses the confidence of the House of Commons, they are forced to resign or call a new election. This constant threat ensures the Prime Minister remains accountable to Parliament and acts in accordance with its will. However, this system can create some uncertainty. A Prime Minister facing a potential vote of no confidence might prioritize appeasing their party over pursuing a long-term vision for the nation. The potential for frequent leadership changes can also disrupt policy continuity. Now let's shift to compare on the separation of powers. To prevent abuse of power, which system offers a more effective approach? The US system with its strong separation of powers that can lead to gridlock, or the UK system's more flexible structure with a fused executive and legislature that risks power imbalances? To begin with, the US system. It emphasizes a strong separation of powers with robust checks and balances. The president's veto power acts as a check on congressional overreach, while Congress can hold the president accountable through oversight hearings and the power of the purse. This system prevents any single branch from becoming too powerful and reduces the risk of abuse. However, these checks and balances can also lead to gridlock, particularly when political divisions exist. The requirement for a 2/3 majority to override a veto creates a high bar for Congress to overcome presidential objections. The UK system offers a more flexible structure with a fused executive and legislature. This allows for closer collaboration between the branches and avoids some of the gridlock issues prevalent in the US system. However, this flexibility can also lead to an imbalance of power. If the Prime Minister's party holds a strong majority, they may have significant control over Parliament, potentially reducing opportunities for meaningful debate and scrutiny. Move to the last point is to compare on democratic stability. Which system promotes greater democratic stability? The US system with fixed terms for the President and Congress, even during periods of low approval, or the UK system where leadership changes can occur through votes of no confidence, potentially leading to periods of uncertainty. So, the US system promotes stability through fixed terms for both the President and Congress. This ensures a degree of predictability and prevents short-term political considerations from dictating policy choices excessively. However, this system can also lead to situations where a president or Congress with low approval ratings is forced to remain in office until the next election. While the UK system offers a different kind of stability through its focus on maintaining the confidence of Parliament. The Prime Minister remains in office as long as they retain the support of the House of Commons. However, this can also lead to a degree of uncertainty. The possibility of leadership changes through votes of no confidence can create periods of political instability, particularly if no party holds a clear majority in Parliament. So both the US presidential and UK parliamentary systems offer unique strengths and weaknesses. Ultimately, the best system depends on a nation's specific needs and priorities. While each system offers valuable lessons for effective governance, the key lies in striking a balance between decisive action, accountability, and long-term stability.